on this doll head. It's a perfect, what James just taught me, I don't know if it blew your guys' mind, but I'm just ready to go put foils in hair right now as colors. So I think this is a perfect segue moving into this. One of my favorite things when we were getting the looks from designers, I don't know if they talked to each other before or not, but a lot of them are all doing some type of texture in hair. All the same principles on how to get texture on a straight surface from what we've learned with curling and setting, and so mine's gonna move off into that, into a more modern day finger wave, okay? So I'm gonna kind of just like show you guys these pictures as much as I can, just for, it's on a phone, sorry, okay? Pretty traditional finger wave, okay? Beautiful. This looks great on short hair, okay? If they have a model that's hair down here, right, a finger wave is definitely gonna lose its effect, okay? So if you are on a team when this is what's asked of you, there is literally one girl who is getting this. She has the hair for it, the color, everything, she is getting this. So you might be the lucky person who gets to do wet finger waves that day.
Woo!
Today, though, we're gonna practice doing it on dry hair, okay? In an ideal situation, we would all have 50 hours to get our models there, prep their hair, let them sit, spray product, brush it out, and set those waves, okay? Or even sit them under a dryer for 2 hours to really let those finger waves set. In the Fashion Week world, we do not have that option most of the time, and so we can create this look into something a little bit more softer and brought out, okay? Very elegant, okay? The set that James just taught you is a perfect way of doing a big Hollywood glam style of that, okay?
Jessa, can I see that real quick?
Absolutely. So really what I just kind of want to show you guys today is the set, how you're going to make that wave look. We're going to practice really brushing out the curls. That's something that we tell people every single year. Like, we'll rick rack and do afros, and we're like, brush it out, and then you're just kind of, it's done. And like when we say brush out, we mean it. Like set that, pull that hair out, create that texture, and a lot of times it's going to make them look like a different person if you're brushing it out correctly, okay? And so really today, I think with finger waves, because I'll even admit to you guys when this was my thing that I pulled on what to teach, I had to go back to beauty school. And I was like, all right, this is how we did them then, but that isn't how we're doing them 10 years later, okay? And so it is more of a modern thing, but first, we're going to talk about flat ironing, which is the exact opposite, okay? There's not going to be a lot of flat ironing this season, but say you do have that girl who has extremely curly hair and they do want it smoothed out with a light bend. One of the biggest challenges that we come across is having to go in and re-straighten hair because it wasn't sealed down properly. Because then the models are running around, drinking, getting their makeup done, they're sweating, neck hair starts moving, and so really I just want to go over one section with you guys. I believe you guys all know how to flat iron, but showing you really what the expectation for a flat iron should look like for Denver Fashion Week, okay? Heat protectant. There are people who have it like, our salon carries it in a foam version, a wet spray version. I think aerosol is going to be the best one. I don't rep any product brands, but Paul Mitchell, in my opinion, has one of the cheapest, best heat sealing products out there. I think this bottle is like $10 and it goes a long way. Like this is my 3rd season with this one, okay? And it's, we hold that right here, thank you. And with product application, again, like we were saying, you still want to be able to manipulate the style, but say the designer changes their mind, there's too many finger wave looking things and it's straight, pin straight share hair, okay? Really applying that heat protection on the front and the back of that, okay?
And what product is that, Jess?
This is the Hot Off the Press, okay, by Paul Mitchell. Any aerosol heat protectant will work, but again, you guys didn't see me put this big ass cloud around it. Like it was just enough to protect the outside of the hair, okay? A lot of times we see people not taking sections with it. Let me tell you from the person who learned at Denver Fashion Week, because I had to re-straighten a model 4 times my first year. Let me tell you something now. This one small skill can set you definitely apart from 50 other people in a room if you can do this correctly, okay?
Seriously, every single time.
Yeah,
this is an issue every single season.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that like we all know how to straighten our hair. The way I straighten my hair at home is very different than the way I do it on my clients, but for Denver Fashion Week, there is an expectation and we want to live up to it, you know? We want to be the best of the best. So very small sections, clean sections every time, okay? Making sure that the heat is appropriate. We all went to hair school, we know heat temperatures, okay? Fine hair 360, 375 max, medium to coarse 380 to 410 max, okay? No one in my 6 years of doing Denver Fashion Week ever deserves 420 or up, okay? There's literally no one. You're gonna take a very small horizontal section in the back, and what I want you guys to do is really just heat up that base first. Let me make sure this is on. That'll be a good start. You're gonna make sure your tool's on. Okay, this one goes pretty fast, but really it's just going to be heating up that base because a lot of the texture lives right here, okay? And so heating up that base, you can see I've got a good amount of tension in between my fingers, okay? So you're going to go in there and really like squeeze. Use that flat iron to squeeze. That's what those plates are for. In my opinion, when you have to go over it like 3 or 4 times, or like what people call passes, it's really just a lack of pressure and tension on that as well, okay? Can you guys see that my comb is underneath that section? This is going to be the most important thing because what do we all crave and love to do the second I'm done flat ironing this head? Comb it instantly, okay? Look at what's happening to all that smooth. Like I'm starting to get frizz, I'm starting to get moisture in the hair. You want to leave it set, just like you would a curl. You set it, you're going to set this, okay? So again, I'm starting at the top. 1, 2 to 3 passes just to get a lot of that texture out. My comb goes right behind. Definitely recommend using a thermal comb. I've melted a couple combs. Okay, and then what you can see is my arm and that tension has not moved. I hadn't started rolling my wrist, and I go all the way down until the hair falls out. Not till the ends. I didn't curl them under. I mean really straight. The best thing you can do to set this is going to be your hand, believe it or not. Your hand has enough product on it from just the oil you produce to go in there and just smooth that out with your fingers and let that stay there. That's how you properly flat iron. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, cool. Every time we don't touch on it, we have somebody who randomly needs straight hair that day, and then we have to do that, so pretty easy on that.
Charlie wasn't lying. He will make you redo it 14 times if you have to.
That's how I met Charlie.
We've all cried.
What's your
It's
name?
fine. We've all cried.
Go on that, but
I almost cried last
what I
night.
learned from
It's
it, you know what I mean? I now get to pass on to you guys so you don't have that same experience. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and I showed you guys the looks of what we're doing on one of those styles, and it will be conformed with an updo. So really, we could spend the entire day finger waving and setting this doll head, and then half of it's going in a low bun, right? So be strategic about it, where you want those finger waves. And a lot of these styles that they want are gonna be around the face. So really, I would say the most important sectioning and the most important wave pattern you're gonna need is going to be right in front of the hairline or the top of the ear going up to the base, okay? Side parts. All of the looks with finger waves have side parts on them. Biggest thing that we learned about side parts is we'll get to the end of it and their shoes are on, they're about to walk out, and half the models have a side part on this side and the other half one on this side, okay? That is something that in pictures will definitely make or break a collection, okay? And it's something that it's still gonna look good, but like the rest of the hair team, when you get those photos to post, it's almost awkward in a way. You're just like, no one caught that. 15 people were staring at their heads and no one caught that, okay?
Also, clean parts.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
That's another thing that Charlie will come and be like, what about that hair? Like, seriously, clean parts. Have someone look at it from the other side because we don't have mirrors, right? So if I need someone to help me and look at my part to make sure that it's 100% straight, do that.
Do it. And
Okay.
it's not offensive, like ask.
No.
And if you're on my team and we're doing a side part, which this is what we're doing, we're all gonna walk around in a line. We literally do it, line up the models and like put their parts in first. That way, even if they're not set, they have a part and they know where they're supposed to do it. The other thing when Charlie was talking about don't let models can take control of the situation. My favorite thing is when we part a model's hair and then they walk around like this. Okay, let them know, just let them know, hey, we're doing this because it's our eye. Just speak to them, because every time, I don't know what it is, girls with parts, right? We're just like, that's not where I part my hair right away. It's, even if it's not setting there, okay? So, we will
Also, feel
run
free to
that
tell
and
them to
show
not
them.
touch their hair. Reiterate it over and over and over, because they will continue to touch their hair constantly.
Okay. So, I'm gonna go ahead and hold that for me, baby. So I brought 2 different types of hairspray for you guys. If you guys noticed on your supplies list that we had emailed you, we had 2 different types of hairsprays. I just want to explain to you the difference because a lot of people on my team had asked me what that was, and I figured you may not be the only ones with that question, okay? A working spray is something that's going to be, you can brush through it, okay? There's lacquer sprays, which are normally aerosol, and then there's working sprays. I personally like a liquid working spray just to go in there and seal it. But honestly, a light hold and a medium to firm hold are the 2 types of sprays that you're gonna work with, okay? Really your finishing spray is gonna be your lacquer, your firm hold. Everything else that you're gonna be using during setting is going to be your medium, I would say, okay? So I already went in there, I used a 3/4 inch like a Marcel style. I am not the cool person who doesn't burn myself, so I have one of these on the end of it, okay? But a Marcel will work perfectly as well. So I went in there and took, just like how Joe was describing the bases, really for this, it depends on where you want that wave to start, right? If you want that finger wave directly on that scalp, you have to start it on base, okay, is where you're gonna curl at. But a lot of those pictures, we were walking around in the girl from Mad Men, she's in the other movie with Public Enemy. She's got that beautiful, and it's smooth here first, and it starts right around her eye line too, okay? Those types of curls need to be set more in the half or off base, okay? So you're starting your wave more at your eye line. So, for my set today, I started more on half base and worked my way to more of an off base on the bottom, okay? Just for wave. So those have been setting while you guys were doing your fun foil stuff, so I'm gonna go ahead and take this out. And then we're gonna talk about really the waving part. Horizontal sections, keeping clean sections. To me, I take pride in my wave sets. It's something that like Victoria's Secret got famous for, and yet it has never been a dying trend. Take your time, clean sections. When you're wrapping with your curling iron, making sure everything is staying smooth too. Wands have kind of created this texture to where people don't really care what the ends look like. When these are polished styles, the more care you take during your set, the lot easier it's gonna be. Like, cause it sucks to have to go in there and put pomade and shine spray and not make it look greasy. So just take clean, consistent sections, okay? So you can see I've got my curls in there. I'm not gonna worry about my ends, and I'm gonna show you guys why after, okay? So I've gone in there, I've taken all my curls. You can really start to kind of see where those ridges are laying, okay? So at this point, we would probably, she's set, we send her off to makeup, then we let that, you wanna let these set as long as possible, okay? I know it's kind of like there, we wanna take them down and brush them. The longer they set, the more of that ridge you're gonna see in that hair. You're going to comb your hair vertically. I know horizontally is normally the traditional way of doing things, but we do wanna go in and vertically so we can start to separate that curl and see where those ridges are in it, okay? And this is really where this comes into leaving it set. I'm able to show you guys enough on her. I really only think we have one model whose hair is this long that we're gonna have to worry about, but you can still wave it out, okay?
Question, did you
Yes.
mean the brush is vertically as
Yes.
opposed to, and pulling down, but
Yes,
also
correct.
pulling vertically?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's just because like horizontally it's just going to build, right? It's just going to keep building, whereas like at first I want to kind of separate those just so I can see where they're falling. Then you're going to go in there with more of a directional to set your finger waves, which is what I'm going to do now, okay? So I like to use a YS Park thermal comb, a styling comb like with a rat tail. Like if you really like using the ones that have like the pick on the ends, that's totally fine too. Okay, and so what your next move is really going to be is starting that ridge. On the heavy part, on this side, you normally see that the women kind of like Stacy's hair. If you don't know Stacy, that's Stacy. She's got that wave that starts over the eye, okay? So this one is going to be curled back. Where is this side going to be curled? Forward, you guys. Done. I'm done. Okay. And so what you're going to do is start by combing and manipulating. We already put that in there, but she's got a set with makeup. She's got a couple of hours. And so you're going to go in there and start to really like, they call it a push wave or a kick wave if you've ever heard of it, okay? And you're really just manipulating that curl that you've already done, smoothing it out using your wider side, not your fine, or else you're just going to keep continuing to comb out your curl. And you're going to start to look for those ridges in the hair, okay? The other way you traditionally see people doing it is the pinch, right? They would put their finger here and pinch that. That works really good for wet. If that's what you're more comfortable with, again, I'm not trying to teach you how to re-finger wave. I'm just teaching you a more modernized version, okay? But the more you see those lips and ridges, the stronger that they're gonna be as they set, okay? So now that this goes this way, we're gonna comb it this way, and then you're gonna continue down. For long length like this, you guys can already see from that curl, like you were literally just gonna form that with your hands and then put a clip there, and you're gonna let that sit, okay? That would set in the entire time, and then probably what we would end up doing at the very end of it is, we're gonna be making them into bobs, okay? Now, when you have a lot of curl in there, that's gonna take care of, like you guys see her length now and look at what that curl just did, right? And like, that's barely brushed through, okay? So when I keep brushing through this at a horizontal now, it's just gonna keep building that weight and taking that height up, okay? We set that ridge in, and then depending on their length of hair, if any of you know Mia, if she was gonna be in this, I would really hate finger waves, but it is one of those things, if they have long hair, it's about shrinking that up. and you can do the roll and tuck. Just how James was teaching you with the foil, right? You're gonna start at that bottom, work your way up, and then you will literally sneak a bobby pin down into your base here. If they have shorter hair, you are going to hold your section, your whole entire finger wave section out a little bit elevated from the head, I'd say about 45 degrees, using your 2 fingers. This works really well if you have like styling oil or a little bit of pomade on your hands, but I don't like working with too much product. I'd rather put it in at the end. And you're going to start to pull that hair up to shrink, okay? And what that's going to do, and please do not cut off the tail if you cut off the tail. I had some girls, she's like, what do you need to do with that? Just like cut it. And I was like, that's her hair. Like that's not something, it's not a straight, you know? I know it looks like it, okay? But the amount of texture that just gave her, okay? And you could tease that up until there isn't any more. Say she has really dense hair, you could go in there and hide that with an invisible hairpin, okay? And then from there, your ridges are still there, and now it's a matter of setting the product and setting it, okay?
You demo the curling iron so they know.
Absolutely. Any questions on the making of the bob part? Yes, dear.
The curling iron technique, do you want to talk about how?
Oh yeah, no, that's on my other side. I got you, girl. Okay, more of just like a preview of kind of what's gonna happen with it too, okay? So on this side, the other thing is that we're gonna work with the designer still. That's kind of why we're working on teams. But he liked the idea of some of the sides being more pin curled up, okay? So again, we're knowing what we know of the 20s through 50s at this point, and we're incorporating it in one look. So the only thing I'm gonna say before I start curling these sections to demo that for you guys before you go out there and start curling yourself is rolling with intention, okay? I see a lot of people who would just literally, if you were doing a Halloween pin curl, you'd just start backcombing the shit out of this, put some spray in there, just roll this thing up like there's a pin curl, okay? Like dress hair with purpose and intention. Put the product on your hands, start to work that curl. Every single piece of hair get smoothed into that. Take your time, okay? So I don't need to teach you guys how to roll up hair again. You guys all graduated the program, but take your time. Use the right amount of product. Do not over product it, or else you're just gonna have a lot frizzier of a mess when you're done, okay? I'm gonna do 3 of these curls. I'm gonna set them, and then do you guys have any questions on the bob part before I move on? Any questions on the finger waving? You guys all remember finger waves, okay? Yeah, learn to love them with a curling iron. That's what I did. So again, I like using this one so I'm not burning my fingers. I'm gonna start on the part line or off of it in this case. I'm going to I'm gonna ask you guys a question. What determines the size of section that I'm taking? Done, okay? So with anything, if you want less wave, more volume, you can take bigger sections even though I'm using a smaller iron too, okay? But for today, I wanna stay at about an inch section, okay? So if you're gonna start on the top of the head, I'm gonna go ahead and use that tension in my fingers and hold this up so I can put my curling iron right underneath it, okay? So I like to kind of elevate that hair. You guys notice I have not dropped that hair. Okay, when I say flat wrapping on a curling iron, I literally mean you're not trying to feed it in like how you normally would curl your own hair. You are like almost like wand wrapping it and rolling it down. Have you guys ever seen, I guess Beauty and the Beast, the newest one, is the most common. And they have like, I call them sausage rolls, but they're like the weird things that judges used to have on the side of their thing. That's what these need to look like, okay? If you can get these really tight, really clean, that is gonna really like help seal that, okay? On this look for Fashion Week, they are doing the bobs. So if they have really stringy ends and it's hard for you to wrap without burning your finger, we know that those ends are gonna get shrunk up anyway, okay? So do what you can to really feed and keep that curl clean, okay? I'm setting it. You notice I prepped her with heat protectant. I am not using any hairspray, okay? And that's really just because a light hairspray would work well, but I am going to brush her out, okay? I can set with spray afterwards.
And Jessa, why is it important for all of our sections to be the same size?
Just for consistency. I don't think there's anything worse when like you're brushing out your own set and you see that like you may have accidentally taken one more diagonally and it's not working in it. And especially with finger waves and putting ridges, it's kind of like if I did this one this way or started it differently, you're not gonna have that clean line. And especially like, it's so dark backstage that you're like, oh, it looks like finger waves, and then you see them on the runway and you're like, holy crap, those are ridges, like, and you actually see them more. And so I think that's just important too, to just keep consistency. I'm hella OCD, so I don't really have a choice in life whether I'm consistent with my sections or not. But I will say, just working with Charlie, it's made me a better hairdresser to just pay attention to those things as well. Okay.
Attention to detail is everything.
Yep.
I have a question.
Yes.
So in the back,
those sections more like brick laid so that there's no gaps? Or does it matter when you're doing kind of like that finger wave look?
Absolutely. I would say bricklaying, but with everything, like you're still like, a lot of times with perming though, there's still a pattern, right? And like a lot of people just offset bricklay. Like I think the more horizontal you go up the head, the more you're really gonna see those ridges. If you bricklay, it's gonna look more natural texture, which I don't think is bad when it comes to modern finger waves either, right? Like you can still see curl in there and they're still sitting, but they're more consistent. For these looks though, I would say horizontal, and I would split the back into 3 sections, okay? 2 more on the sides and then 1 down that middle. Just so when that bob is down, you can really set in those ridges. Yeah, around the face is always a little difficult. There's a lot more bone structure to kind of work with, but a good set of finger waves in the back of the head, it's good. Okay. Yeah, and you guys can see I'm not elevating my iron as high. There's really no need to, because this is going down the lengths of her hair. Any questions on the curling? Can you see me back there, dear? Okay. And I'm really just sticking it on her head. It's not gonna burn her. Ask them, okay? Like, I do like when the model's like working with me versus like, it's her again, you know, because I ain't going anywhere. But, I ain't going anywhere. There's one of them every time, and she's like, oh my gosh, it's you, like, because I did her ponytail. This one girl, she was like in tears about it. She's like, I just can't get it tightened up. And I was like, let me try, because this girl's head's about to pop off. And yeah, ever since then. And so I always just try and like, they're models, they're working too as much as we are, and they have like 10 seconds of fame to walk this entire look that we've taken 6 hours on. So be polite, ask them, is the heat too much? Let them know, hey, I'm going around your ear. There's nothing worse to me than somebody, even a little kid at prom, and you like curl around their ear and they're like, ah, you burned me. It's like, it's steam. But a lot of times if you're just like, hey, it might get a little warm around the ear right now because it's gonna be close to it. A lot of times they're not gonna freak out. But yeah, we do get a little bit of a diva in there too, but at the same time, I don't know, some of these girls, I might be a little diva-y too, you know, but cool. And then that would be the set, a little light to medium hold spray just over the top of it. Any questions on the curling part? Okay. This is something, how many of you feel like if I threw you on the wet finger waves look like you would bust it out and like no issues? Okay, so that might, I was like, get it girl, there's your girl. But it is something, so like anything that I would say you feel a little bit more uncomfortable with today, you guys have a week to practice. This is why we set the class up like this. For me, this is one of the looks I'm leading. My ass will be on a doll head this entire week, just until I can get it to where I really like the way it looks too. I'm gonna be doing it on a short doll head, on this long straight, because I already know Phoenix is on my team, and you're just gonna have to practice what you don't feel comfortable with. That way the day of, you're not melting down like I did over flat ironing. Cool? Any questions? All right, I would say 1 quadrant. If you guys want to work on one head to be, or your own head, whatever, I would say 1 quadrant, leave it. Maybe practice a couple flat ironing if you want to. If what I taught was completely new to you, I would say go ahead and take a couple passes through. But I would let them sit, kind of clean up your area. We'll give direction to what the next group is doing too. So while your curls are setting, and then really the brushes that I like to use the best. Chad and I had this conversation last year because there's a million brushes. I'm not a favorite of one except for this one. This is a brush that follows me everywhere. It's good for straightening, for thermal blowouts. It's a YS Park cushion brush. Same thing that James was saying though, his brush would work great. It's a boar bristle and nylon, boar to smooth, nylon to stretch, okay? This one works really well, but even like Sam Villa makes a really nice smooth polishing brush. Sally's even carries them too. So if this is something that you don't have in your kit, I think the cheapest you can get one is for around $10-15, and then this one is $90.
Also, Jessa will hunt you down if that brush goes missing.
I have 2 of them now at this point, and we're loving it.
You need those bracelets.
Yeah, and I have had this thing 8 years, my entire hair career, and it has lasted because I've taken care of it too. And it is a favorite. Everyone's scraping back a ponytail, nothing works better. So it might be a little too late to get this brush for Fashion Week, but I know Sally's has a version, Cosmoprof, anything like that, and it's really gonna help just really polish those, okay? All right, go across some hair.
Thank you.